Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK, and I apologize for that weird face I was making. There was lipstick on the floor underneath me, and I was really confused.
Oh, okay. I was not sure what was happening. I found open lipstick in my apron Saturday at work. So that,
Okay.
lipstick, it just ends up places.
Yeah.
So, how are you?
Um, you know, it has been a very long week.
Mhm.
I was sick.
By the way, it's Monday. For those of you who don't know.
Yeah, but I'm like counting Monday to Monday. My week is now Monday to Monday.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So I was sick for a little bit. But then I like worked a lot because I worked every day last weekend at the
Mhm.
theater. Um, and like yesterday was a really, really rough day. Um, just like emotionally,
Mhm.
stupid things happened. And then today at work was like a really, really rough day. But the good things were that the Bills won yesterday. It was a very, very close game. And I was very stressed out because I was working at the theater that I'm not backstage. So Shays actually is two separate theaters. And one of them, I work in an office backstage.
Right.
And the other one, when I work there, I'm in the front where the guests are. I don't have an office.
Oh, that's how it is. They have two theaters like that.
Yeah. So didn't have a TV. So I couldn't watch the game. So I was just like waiting for Dan to text me updates because I also like the app wasn't loading because everybody was on the app trying to figure it out. It was really stressful. But then we
Mhm.
won, so it was fine. And then today I went to a high school volleyball game, which was fine. It's the school Dan works at, which is the rival school from the school my dad and my brother went to. So like I already have strong feelings about it. He was like, I know you don't really support them in sports, but like, will you support me? And I was like, but then it turned out to be fine because my friend Tracy, whose daughter was in my class last year, she was there watching the game. So, and Dan was like, do you want to sit with your daughter? And she just started cracking up. And I was like, I really don't think she wants to sit with us. It's fine. We're good. I'm not going to like ruin this freshman in high school life by making her sit with her teachers at a volleyball game.
Right, right.
But as you might remember from last year on the podcast, I get unnecessarily involved in child sports games. Like I was almost ejected from a middle school basketball game
Mhm.
more than once. I do not know any of the students at this school. None
Right.
of them. I have never taught any of them. Well, no, I have taught exactly one child who goes to that school, but I promise he does not do sports. I've never taught these children. I couldn't have even told you any of their kids' names except for the one who was in Dan's homeroom. But somehow I was still about to fight a ref.
You just
I
can't
was
take it
I
anywhere.
was so angry. I was like that kid. He was a senior on the starting lineup, and I was like that ref called his serve, and then the next time he went to serve, he like mouthed back at the ref, and I was like with him, and I was like. Dan was like, you don't even know that kid. And you were so fired up. I go, I don't know his name. Like, I don't even not know him. I don't know his name, but I'm going to fight that ref for him. He goes, maybe I won't.
Right.
I was
Maybe
like,
this is your last volleyball
I was like,
game.
sorry, I just like get really involved in children's sports games. Apparently, I'm gonna be a terrible mom. My kids do sports. I'm gonna be that mom that like no one wants to be at the games.
Yes, that is correct. I'm not even gonna try and fight you on that one. You are absolutely correct.
I just had a really deep realization about myself.
I'll call Monica and be like, Monica, you have to go sit with MK while she's at this game because I'm not sure that she's not gonna go to jail if you don't. So
I mean, between Monica and Dan, like hopefully
I believe
someone can reel me in because
surely.
yeah.
I wish you all
Yeah.
the best.
Thank you so
Future
much.
kids. Not
Thank
you.
you.
Your
Oh
future
my
kid.
God. Yeah, no, I wish them the best too. They better be good or I'm gonna be angry. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm never mad at kids when they do badly. I'm mad at stupid like things that like parents that get like that are nasty to the other kids or like refs that make dumb calls because it's like kids games. Like it's I'm never like, oh, that was a like that kid doesn't know how to play and I like get angry for them. I'm like, how dare you look at him like that? He's 12. He's trying his best. So maybe it won't be the worst.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah. How are you?
You know, I'm vibing. Is that how you say it? Is that how the
Yeah,
kids say it these days?
that's what they say.
Excellent. I'm vibing. I've had a pretty busy day.
Okay,
I am only like a third of the way mentally here, but I'm
perfect.
thriving. I did not leave the office until 6:30 tonight, which is after 5 o'clock. And
It's cute. It's cute that you think that that's when work ends.
that is when my office work ends. But oh my gosh, my computer's gonna die every week. Every week, you'd think I'd learn. Um, but but usually I go to the bar or I get to go home, and I didn't do either of those things. So that's but when I did eventually get to go home, I got to come home and I'm watching American Horror Story season 9 because I'm trying to get caught up before season 11 comes out in like 2 weeks because they announced it like 3 days ago. They just posted a picture of it. I was like,
Yeah. So you know how I'm insane and I have a list of every TV show?
uh-huh.
On the first of the month or the second of the month, depending if I remember on the first, I go through and I add everything that's premiering that month onto my list. So I'm looking at the list of October premieres and it says American Horror Stories NYC. And I go, I'm sorry, what?
They
Did not
didn't
know.
tell anyone.
Did not know that that existed until yesterday.
I found out, I think Friday.
Cool.
I think it was Friday afternoon. Like it was like not announced. And then all of a sudden it was announced. And now I'm seeing it like I am watching American Horror Story, but it's like every other commercial on Hulu now. And so like if they'd announced it before, I would have known because I've just been watching American Horror Story for ages.
That reminds me, I finally finished season 2 of Only Murders in the Building.
I have not watched it, but I am happy for you and I will watch it one day. I gotta finish American Horror Story.
Fair.
So I'm watching season 9, which is 1984, which is basically an 80s slasher film.
Okay.
Right up my alley. That is one of
Yeah.
my favorite genres.
Fantastic.
So I cannot get enough of it. So I came home to watch that. I had to watch one episode before we started recording. And MK texted me like 3 minutes before the episode's over. And like all of these crazy things are happening. And I was like, I can't talk to you right now. It's like you have to wait 3 more minutes. But also along those lines, while I was taking my break and watching my episode, I was coerced. It was very easy to do into buying Dreamlight Valley, Disney Dreamlight Valley, or something. I don't know the name of it, but it's on the Switch, and it's kind of like.
Are you talking about Stardew Valley?
No, I am not. I am talking about Disney Dreamlight Valley, which I think it's called.
I have no idea what that is.
And it's kind of like a storyline, Animal Crossing mixed with like a Disney story. Like there was this Disney game that I used to play on Xbox. So they have like quests and stuff. It's really
okay.
Good. I'm really digging it. So I've been playing that for 2 days now. I bought it last night. So I played it yesterday and today. And when we get off here, I'll be getting ready to watch my horror film of the day, which is going to be Creep, which is starring Mark Duplass, one of my faves. And I've heard him talk about this movie, so I'm super thrilled to watch it. But I've never seen it before. And then I realized there was a second one, so I also will probably watch that one soon. But I'm very excited. That's my horror film for tonight.
Fantastic. I will probably, I don't know what I'll watch. Probably YouTube videos because I'm actually caught up on all of my shows for the week. I know.
That's shocking.
I know, especially because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm currently watching Bachelor in Paradise, Ink Master, The Masked Singer, Dancing with the Stars. Oh, just kidding. There's tonight's Dancing with the Stars episode will be on Disney Plus. That's what I'll watch when I finish. Amazing Race. I think that's it. I think I'm at five shows that I'm watching. And then Grey's Anatomy starts this week, so 6.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Um,
But also reasons why I figured out that Dan has to be my soulmate because I was watching the season premiere of Amazing Race and I realized, oh my God, I finally found someone that I would trust to run the Amazing Race with me. Like we both have to get more physically in shape and we know that, but like between how smart and worldly both of us are, done. Easy. So excited.
see, I would be like almost a good person to take, except I don't know geography
He does.
and I don't like heights.
I will have a panic attack, but like I'll do it.
Anything else I could probably do.
But like the challenges on the episode of The Amazing Race were like bell choir and yodeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, done. Easy. We won.
Actually do that. Absolutely. I could figure out most of it, but heights, no go. Not gonna happen.
Fair.
And I don't know geography very well. So.
No, he knows geography really well, and I speak like 15 languages. So like,
yeah, I speak like 1 and like 3 or 4 halves. But I'm really good at communicating with people, even when we don't speak the same language.
I'm actually far enough in my Duolingo in Korean that I recognize what symbols are what sounds. Like I can actually read Korean. I don't always know what the words are, but I can read it, which is terrifying. I know.
I'm so proud of you.
Now, if only they would put Thai on Duolingo.
I'm so proud of you. I need to learn German. I like my German Peloton classes. So I need to just learn more than wunderbar.
Fantastic.
That's all I know. That's all I know. But you know what else I know?
Is it how to affirm our spirituality?
It is. It is.
Fantastic.
And this is for all of you out there in competition with others when you should not be.
Okay.
A flower does not think of competing to the flower next to it. It just blooms.
That's beautiful, but scientifically untrue.
We are not talking about science. We are talking about spirituality.
Okay, fine. Yep, you're right.
Please step back out of my spiritual space with your science and logic.
I mean, okay, to be fair, they don't think in the way that humans think. So, like, technically, you're correct.
I know. I am correct.
Okay.
And I'm encouraging everyone. Let me do it. Let me encourage them.
You can have it.
Thank you. So now that we've gotten through our happy times, it is time
to get real dark.
Real dark. We're going to Bates Motel, season 3, episode 8, which means we have 2 more episodes left of this season. Wild.
Wild.
It's called The Pit, and you'll learn why soon. It aired.
To be fair, The Pit, kind of a big deal. So much shit happened in this episode that I almost forgot about The Pit.
I read the title, The Pit, and I literally, like, I was in my office alone, and I was like, again? I thought it was going to be like that box they put in. Not the same. Very different.
No.
Very different.
Yeah.
So it premiered April 27th, 2015, rated 8.4 out of 10. Fine.
That was the day before my parents' 25th wedding anniversary.
Aww. happy late 25th wedding anniversary.
Which also means something bad definitely happened.
What? On their 25th wedding anniversary?
So yeah, my parents have this like weird thing where every time they were about to celebrate like a really big wedding anniversary, something like tragic happens. Like my grandpa died 2 days before their 20th wedding anniversary. And like I remember them like having things where like every time they were supposed to have like a really big, and then like for their 30th wedding anniversary, COVID was that year. So like I don't remember what it was, but I definitely remember something happened because they were once again not together for their anniversary.
Well,
I don't remember,
but I'm glad we're not in a big year this year, I guess.
yeah. This year
Oh,
will
that's
only.
good. I do have some positive news for you.
Oh, good.
Our number one song this week
Is it new?
It is new. It is not positive, but it is new. It is "See You Again" by Wiz Khalifa, etc., which is a very sad song, and
But like a very good song.
It's a very good song because it came out right before I graduated college, and I listened to it when I graduated and cried, and I was sad, and it was tragic in my brain. But an actual good note, the number one movie was Avengers: Age of Ultron. Also got a little bit of tragedy going, but it's fine.
Right.
It's
I was
fine.
like,
Good times.
Quicksilver's death was like kind of a hot mess.
Look. Happier? I don't know. It's all about everything's about death. But whatever. They're new. They're new from the last 8 years.
It is a new death.
Book's still the same. Girl on the Train by Paul Hawkins. Nothing changed on there. To get the sad news out of the way.
So also I realized on Sunday's episode, I did not even attempt to see if anything had happened in the world that day. I just forgot.
You're right, you didn't. I did. Okay. It was fine. Not really. There was a major earthquake in Nepal. A lot of people died.
Weirdly, there's a documentary that's coming out this month that is about that earthquake. It's called Everest in the Nepal earthquake, and it was on my new premiere list.
Everest in the what?
And the Nepal earthquake.
How wild would it be if it came out on the same day as this episode?
Oh my God, I don't think so. But
let's see what day it comes out. It just has the trailer. It doesn't tell me what day it comes out.
Okay, it's called Aftershock, Everest in the Nepal earthquake. I will tell you right now, and as soon as I pull it up on Metacritic on the TV premiere list. It comes out, I think it comes out later in the month, unfortunately. So not when this episode comes out. No, wait. First of all, this episode comes out on what day? The 13th. Yeah. I know it's on here because I read it literally yesterday. This is such riveting podcast material. Let me
last week, this week, we're just searching for stuff. That's how we do things. But it sounds very interesting, and it's good timing. I bet they're coming out with it because they keep talking about Diet Love Pass. They've been having updates for the past like 6 months to a year probably, but they think that it could have been like natural disaster, like earthquake or like a avalanche or something, but maybe an aftershock.
Maybe. Okay. Aftershock. I'm literally Oh, it actually comes out this Thursday, October 6th. So, a week before
So
this episode comes out.
it's already out, guys.
It's already out. You should watch it.
I bet it's lovely. I bet
Yep,
it's sad.
I bet.
But it's a great time. I have what I think is a fun fact
Okay.
about this day. In Rochester, it is and was Al Franken Day.
Yeah, I believe that.
Do you know anything about that?
Absolutely not.
Well, he was a writer and performer on SNL, assuming this is the same Al Franken. And he currently lives in the Upper West Side. He did writing, and he was the senator
Al
of,
Franken, like the rent is too damn high.
I don't know.
Senator Al Franken, who had a political scandal of touching women like 2 years ago. Yeah, I have no things to say about Al Franken.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. That was not happy news.
Sorry, I'm not a fan. I
I
know who he
don't know.
is. I know who he is. I'm not a
Oh,
fan.
okay. I didn't really know who he was, but that's okay. Bad person. He's a bad person. Don't celebrate that, Tay. um, but we have a new director. I think. I think it's a new one. I haven't forgotten. Roxanne Dawson.
Definitely not heard that name.
Excellent, excellent. I think she reminds me of Rosario Dawson.
Fair,
Um,
also not a fan.
I love Rosario Dawson.
I love her in Josie and the Pussycats, and that's the end of that statement.
I love her so much.
Could not care less.
That is fine. I guess we'll be friends still. So this is
Oh, I
Roxanne.
lied. She's pretty decent in the Rent movie too.
Yes, she is. She is known for Breakthrough, a film that came out in 2019.
Okay.
The Americans, House of Cards, about 50 other things, but at the bottom of her list is The OC. So big fan.
Good.
She was an actress in, because you know how I like to tie our horror and sci-fi worlds together. Star Trek Enterprise,
Okay.
Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Voyager Elite Force.
Okay. I did not realize that there was a Voyager Elite Force, but okay.
I don't know anything about Star Trek.
Mm,
But she was in them, 3 of them.
yes.
And she won awards for them.
Fantastic.
So good for her. We have the same writers.
Okay.
Before we get into the show, while we're still on a bit of a sci-fi announcement, I would like to announce that I've recently learned, I meant to say this last week and forgot, that November is considered sci-fi month.
Okay.
So
Yes, we talked about this.
to the best of my ability, I will be trying to watch a sci-fi movie every night, like I have with horror.
I would pretend that I would do that the way Courtney does like horror and I would take over sci-fi. But I'll be frank, there's a my boss has already warned me, my boss at the theater has already warned me that November is about to be an absolute clusterfuck. So I'm not gonna promise anything.
Yeah, I can't promise I will make it to the end of every movie that I start, but I will start a movie every night that is a sci-fi movie and try my best, because I also will probably, and it may be starting it at 2 o'clock the next morning, because currently my work schedule at the bar is I go into the office from 9 to 5 and then I go to the bar from 5 until 2 a.m. So not a whole lot of time for movies there, but I do want to participate. I will be posting the movie I will watch before 2 a.m. And then I will post my thoughts after on Twitter probably. So I'm trying to interweave our platforms, which is what I've been doing with our horror movies. If you're not following social media, I'm posting the film before I watch it on Instagram and then the commentary on Twitter after.
Correct.
Oh, you gotta follow both.
Yeah, it's true.
Sorry, not sorry. Speaking of, I saw Six again last week, and that song gets stuck in my head so bad, but I love it. And on to the show.
Yes.
Like I said, it's season 3, episode 8, The Pit. And we start with Norma in bed. We left off with Norma in bed in a creepy scene. Now we're walking in with Norma and the happiest she's looked in years. Just hanging out. She like seems content, at ease. And Dylan walks in. I put she is too happy about life.
Yeah.
Turns out she is thrilled that Alex came to their family dinner and she can't get over it. Apparently. So Dylan tells her that he's going to be at the farm for a few days, which is a lie.
Correct.
But he tells her that he's going to be at the farm for a few days, working on the barn. And then when he comes back, they need to talk about Norman. And she's like, yeah, no problem. And he's like, but really, we got to talk about Norman.
I said, yeah, y'all definitely need to talk, and it should probably happen before you leave. That
It should have happened like 15 years ago. But if
like
we're
at least for like for sure, like a week ago.
right. I mean, when he killed his dad, probably would have been like the kicking off point. Like, had we not seen anything too crazy before, just some blackouts, maybe some like minor mishaps in the house of breaking things, killing
Sure.
someone is definitely step one. That's when you have to have a conversation.
I think that you're past the point of conversation at that point.
Yeah, but you may not know you need a conversation at that point. You may be just like a blacking out, like a not doing things when you black out, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no way to know. We don't know the past. We don't know anything before he killed his dad, so.
Right.
But he should have been locked up ages ago. But it's fine. So we then flash over to Norman, but he sleeps like I sleep because he's just like sprawled out with his arms all awkward. And I was like, this is definitely how I sleep, very awkwardly.
It's not me at all.
It is very much me. And I move a lot, so who knows. And Norma comes in and they're talking about Emma for a bit. And he's like, it's so sad she's gonna die. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, but it's fine. He's like, there's a lot of horrible things to think about.
Okay, listen,
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing. First of all, he's like, every time I think about Emma, I worry she's gonna die. I mean, I guess we're all gonna die, but like she's gonna die sooner. And that's like horrible to think about. But then also there's a lot of horror. I was like, my guy, what the fuck is happening in your head right now?
But he's also like stoic while he's doing it. He's like spiraling.
But also like, okay, this stressed me out. And I will talk more about this later. Because he's spiraling, but like in the only healthy way that you should, like, he's like coming to terms with the fact that horrible things are happening in his head and he like can't function with it, and he's like spiraling, but like in a good way.
Right.
And I'm confused.
And it's like, we know he's getting worse, but he's acting better.
He's like acknowledging that he's getting worse.
Right, which is where we have a problem.
Yeah, I'm
So then we start hearing these loud noises, and Norma runs to the window to see what's happening. Norman follows her and is still checking her out, which is very unfortunate and disconcerting. And she looks out and turns out there's construction being done. So Norma, as she does, runs downstairs to immediately ask what's going on.
Right.
Which, like, fair. It's her motel. I'd want to know too. And they tell her they're building a pool. And I laughed out loud. I was like, okay, Bob Paris.
Yeah. And then she was like, I need to see the plans. He's like, I don't have them. Call Bob Paris. I go, yeah, okay, call Bob Paris. Good luck with that.
Right. Like, good luck. He didn't even tell you who's building a pool in your yard. I think he's gonna give you, like, just hand over some plans for you.
But to be fair, she asked for the pool. Like, she fully asked for it.
She did. But you'd think there'd be some notice.
I wouldn't.
You tell someone usually.
I'm no longer surprised by anything that happens on the show ever.
That's fair. And then we go to the credits, and it was like a pretty mild opening for Bates.
Okay. Is the conversation with Norman pre-credits? Yes. Norman follows her out, right?
Mhm.
And he like says some weird shit about the pool and was like, that's funny that you have a pool, but like you couldn't afford blankets. And then she's like, okay, whatever. And he's like, just go put some fucking clothes on. And I go, Norman, you're giving me
Oh no,
extra
that
ick
was
right now.
after that one
Oh,
was
that was
after.
after the credit. Okay. Because I
Yeah.
thought the credits ended with her just standing, wasn't it like her standing in the parking lot in her robe? It was
Oh, maybe so,
what?
maybe so. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, you're right. You're right. That
yeah,
is right.
okay.
That was right
So
before the
like, because
credits.
then the like right before the credits is her like
Yeah.
awkwardly standing in the parking lot in her robe, but he's like, put some clothes on. And I was like, damn, okay, sir.
It was like you're feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
Like now you're making everything uncomfortable.
Yes,
That's
agreed.
fine.
I hated it.
So we go to the credits, and this feels like a typical opening credit scene. I mean, a little less drama than normal,
Right.
but I always like when we have this scene where we just kind of follow Norma through her morning. Like
Yes.
that's
That is pretty. I really do. They've been doing that a lot lately, and it kind of is just like, what fucking nonsense is she up to today?
but it's nice because she like covers all the bases. And while it's technically about Norman, I guess, because it's like from Psycho Norman, but like she's the like glue that ties everything in together. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like we see what's happening with Alex, we see what's happening with the motel, we see what's happening with Dylan, with Norman. Like everything comes together because of Norma.
yeah.
So it's always, I think that's like a really good tool they're using to open it.
Yes.
And when we come back, Alex is at a car dealership. And as he is the sweetest human, he is trading her car back in for her old car because he knows that she wants it back.
My note says, Alex, you are too good to Norma, and she doesn't deserve you.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Norma, who is calling Bob Paris to look at the plans, like it's just going to be a phone call away.
Yeah, that's
And
how that works.
that scene ends very quickly because he doesn't answer. And we go into a scene to figure out why he doesn't answer. And it's because he's captured James. And he's asking him, he's like, being his charming self, Bob Paris is. And he's like, all right, here's the thing. You know Norma. And he's like, yeah, we're okay. He's like, no, no, no. She stayed at your house. Did she leave anything there? And he's like, of course not. And he's like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
right. And he's like, okay, well, I need some leverage or something. Tell me what's going on. And he's like, she's a client. I can't say anything. And he's like, do you sleep with your clients? And he's like, no, we didn't sleep together. She just stayed over. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I don't know why James is trying to lie to them.
Right. Like that was a choice.
Have kidnapped you and have obviously been following you and Norma, and you're going to lie to them about what's happened.
But I did get really angry because I was like, genuinely though, like, because the last time we saw James, he was telling Norma to get Norman some help and like actually like being a decent fucking person. And I go, please leave this man alone. He genuinely is not a part of this. Like, so not a part of this. Stay away from him.
Until now. And I thought he kept saying he wasn't going to say anything. And I put, good for you, James. Hold your morals. And then they nailed his foot to the ground. And I was like,
like, oh, James is gonna die just for being a good person.
So that's what I thought. And that's what I would have preferred.
And I was like, because he also deserves better than Norma. But then he did that.
Then he snitched.
And snitches end up in ditches, really.
Yes, correct. So we go to the neighbor talking to Dylan. Chick is his name.
Yes.
And bless his heart, every time he's in a scene, he cracks me up.
So much.
I'm just laughing the whole time he's there. And
my notes about the scene, the first says, of course, neighbor man is also a hippie art dealer.
That's my next note.
He is. Why not?
That is the story he gives to Dylan to go on this gun run, is that he's a fine art dealer. And he's like, well, let me tell you about this last piece I sent up so you have a story. And then lo and behold,
Which also indicates that, like, even though he's gun running, he does also, like, genuinely sell art.
Right, right. Like these are actually things he does. So then Caleb shows up, and I thought at this point, I'll admit I was wrong. I thought Chick wasn't hiding anything. I thought he was just this like happy-go-lucky guy doing his thing. So I did put that there because Caleb was very skeptical and I was very not. I mean, it's dangerous. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Because I also was like, Caleb, you are being too much right now.
Right. And so now Caleb decides he's going with him, even though he's wanted. So if they get pulled over, it's going to put all of them more at risk than if Dylan just went.
But then one of my favorite interactions of all time happens because Caleb says, if anything happens to Dylan, I will come back and I will kill you. And Chick goes, that's a little dramatic, but sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Things probably do happen to people when they go on gun runs. I don't know. I don't go on gun runs, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, not a thing that I regularly partake in.
Right. But like, so like if it seems fair to be like, if this kid that you're sending dies, I'm blaming you. And he's just like, it's very dramatic. Like, no, I don't think it's that dramatic first.
I don't know. Is it dramatic? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe after everything that like Dylan's done,
right,
it's not as dramatic. I mean, it's more dramatic because like he's done a lot of like dangerous stuff and worked for really dangerous people. So like he kind of knows how to hold his own at this point.
Right. But, yeah, I don't know. But I just, the way he said, that's a little dramatic.
I laughed. I'm telling you, I just laughed the whole time he's on the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we go back to James, who was being thrown out of a car in the middle of the street in the middle of the night. I was like, okay, at least they didn't kill him, I guess.
And
at the same time, I really liked how this scene, I always like when they have like an overlaying scene.
Yeah, no, I did the sound on this, like the sound mixing was really well done too.
Yeah.
Like not just the scene itself, but like the way that it was mixed.
Yeah, it's a style I really enjoy already. And so I thought they did a really good job with it. Norma's calling him at the same time. So you have the drama of him being thrown out of the car and you have him rolling over on the side and trying to get in the house while the phone's ringing. Norma's calling him and then she's leaving him this like
dramatic
this message while he's like inside trying not to die. And it's like, it was a really, really well done scene.
But my note was, don't call her back. Don't ever call her back.
I would just like him to never talk to that family again.
Yeah.
Like, I think he just needs to be on his
For sure. Like, save yourself.
Right. Like, I don't super trust him, and I don't know that he's, like, 100% a good moral person. Yeah. But I think it's time for him to, like, get out of Dodge.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Sure. So then we go back to Caleb and Dylan, and one of my questions from last week was answered. Dylan is talking to Caleb about Emma, and he, like, Dylan does know that Norma and Emma are still together.
Yes.
And so I was like, am I at the right place?
Yeah, no, you are.
Okay. You made a weird face. I was like, did I read something back?
No, because I was trying to figure out because my note is about that scene, but I was trying to figure out what exactly the conversation was that led to my note, like how exactly it went down.
So they're in the car and they're driving down the road. He's like, you don't have to do this. He's like, it's just a girl, blah, blah, blah. He's like, what is it about her? And he's like, she's just good for Norman. They're together, I guess. And like, but he doesn't like me, and he's like, he's not going to.
Oh, that's what it was. He said he doesn't like me, and he can't get past it because of Norma. And he says, and Caleb says, yeah, no one can. Basically saying that like everyone who is around Norma gets like sucked into this web that is it. And I literally just wrote, why can't people get past that load? Because she's like not special. I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or what, but like I see the way Zach acted and the way that Alex is acting and the way that Caleb is acting, the way that Norman's acting. And it's like I do not get what it is about her that makes these men act that way. But Caleb seems to think that that is just who she is and how people react to her. And I wish I understood what it was.
So I think that is true, that it is the way she is, the way that's why people react to her. And I think it's because we're very different people. There are certain people, there's women and men who do this, play the victim, and that's their entire life. And like I've had friends like that, and they play the victim, and they get people who just want to caretake them to their own detriment. Like, and then
Yeah,
everyone
no,
involved,
and now when you say that, like I definitely know those people. Like I
right?
know.
But like me nor you are the type of people
That
that
can
are
do
going to
that.
play the victim most
Yeah.
of the time, even if we are, which is
Right.
our detriment. But you know, it's
Oh, wow. That
so
was accurate. Okay.
we go real far to the other end. So
Fair
we're just
enough.
like, so far removed from this victim mentality.
Fair enough.
And
Yeah, no. That's
if you play a damsel in distress, you're gonna find someone to save you, whether it's good for you or for them.
right.
And I mean, especially like Alex being a cop, like his instinct is to like protect people.
Yeah.
So
Well, and Alex also had a mother that committed suicide
right.
and he couldn't save her. So he sees this
Mhm.
crazy woman who's doing everything for her kid and is going to lose it. And of course, the Oedipus
Mhm.
complex is real,
Yes.
which, boy, am I going to talk about that later.
Yep, you are. We'll get there. Um, and we find out that Caleb is planning on leaving when the barn is done. He says he doesn't
Yes.
think that it would be good for anyone for him to stay, essentially. So we go back to the motel, and this pit is being dug still. And she's like, huh, don't you think this is a little big for a pool? And he's like, I don't know, maybe there's a diving board. She's like, that's such a liability. People don't do that anymore. And she's like, how deep is it? It's 23 foot. She's like,
I said 23 feet is too deep for a pool.
that's deeper than when you first walk into the ocean.
Yeah, no, even with a diving board and allowing for the fact that you need a concrete base, 23 feet,
Way
not
too
safe.
deep.
Not
Everyone's
safe.
gonna die.
Correct.
It's only made for death, which I'm sure is what it's actually being made for. We don't
Correct.
learn in this episode exactly what's happening.
But
Um,
death is happening.
I assume it's death. So then Alex shows up because he switched out the cars for her and she's losing it. She's thrilled. And then Alex is like, what's happening here? And she's like, it's a pool. And he's like, are you sure?
Okay. Um, he brings her the cart and he is telling her, and she says, how did you know that it meant that much to me? And he said, I don't know, I'm observant. And I literally was like, I am in love with this man. I can't even explain to you in words what I am feeling right now. And I was like, if only Alex actually could save Norma from crazy, like this would be everything I've ever wanted for anyone.
I know. I know. It would be a great thing. Unfortunately, we don't get happy endings here. Um, I assume so far we haven't had any, so I'm gonna assume that's gonna continue to be the case. But it's fine. It's
It's
fine.
fine.
But she's like, why did you do it? And he's just like, I did it because I knew you wanted it. And I was like, of course he's in her trap. Just another one looped in. And then
Okay, he's been pretty trapped for like a season and a half now.
I know, but I thought he still had a piece left, and he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He's just
No.
all in. And then she kisses him, and I was like, don't let her kiss you. But I mean, that's all he wanted, so he's not gonna stop it. But ugh. Ugh. So then Alex goes to see Bob Paris.
And he's like, why the fuck do you dig a 23-foot pit?
And he's like, she wanted a pool. And he's like, I was there so you wouldn't do anything crazy, basically. And
Yeah.
then Bob starts being like, what do you know about Norma?
And he's like,
What do you know
nothing.
about
And he
James?
goes, nothing. And I don't care. Like, I'm not involved in her personal life. And I was like, lie.
Lies, all lies. So then Bob tells him about James and how they were sleeping together, or they slept together. It wasn't like ongoing,
Yeah.
which is best for everyone involved.
Right. But also he's like, hey, you know how she like screwed your deputy and then she's screwing this other guy and she screwed this other guy and she like doesn't give a fuck about you. And also she's lying to you and she killed her husband.
Yep. And I put, no, James. Of course he told him. And I was like, why would you in this scenario? Okay,
I
as someone who's a therapist, they know how to do different like mind techniques. So you have to tell them something or they're
yeah,
going to kill you. Fine.
yeah.
Make something up. When it's that extreme, you can pick something just a level lower.
Okay, agreed. Absolutely agreed. But to play devil's advocate, James doesn't know this woman from shit. He slept with her once. Okay. She trauma dumped on him when she wasn't really technically his client about shit that is super illegal. He tried to be a therapist to her son as a family counselor and was almost murdered. And now he's just minding his own goddamn business. And somebody comes and fucking kidnaps him and staples his foot to a board and is like, tell me everything you know about this fucking batshit woman that you already have questions about her sanity, or I murder you. 120%. I'm telling you everything.
No, I
Like,
probably would have
like,
too.
like I wish, and I'm like saying this from like the experience of the fact that like I know stuff that like my kids tell me things. If one of the things that my kids told me was illegal and also causing me to be fucking harassed and threatened, I'm not keeping that secret. Like, and not because I don't care, but because is it worth it at that point?
I mean, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. I just like to err on the side of everyone's gonna stay true and honest.
Again, I totally get that, but also we're erring on the side of like rooting for Norma because like that's what you do as a viewer of this show. But like to be fair, both she and Norman should be lined up in front of a firing squad and
I
executed.
mean,
Like,
true, true.
like I get that as viewers of the show, we are totally mind warped into rooting for her. But
I also think like we know she doesn't win. So like we want her to have some good things because we know most things are bad. That's where
does anyone in the show deserve nice things?
I mean, Norma's been through a lot of really bad things. So if you could like ease the pain a bit, I'd like that. Dylan, if you could just send him out to like Hawaii, let him start a new life.
Listen, Dylan and Alex and Emma need to flee
And
this
Emma's
town.
dad.
Emma's dad. Need to flee this town and never return.
Mhm.
Because, but like the thing is, Alex and Dylan even are already corrupted. Like they've
Yeah.
already done shit that they shouldn't do because of the town. So literally, Emma and her dad need to get the fuck out of there. That's the only option.
I know Dylan could probably grow. He's like a baby child. He could probably
I
still grow.
know he
And
probably
Alex
still could.
probably could change and be better. Like if he was in a moral town, I think he'd be okay.
I do, and I do think that he's only ever done things out of self-preservation and truly being empathetic. Like he
I agree.
genuinely, because like who has he actually hurt? Only Marcus, who quite literally tried to murder him.
Right, right. Yeah.
Was it the best choice he's ever made? No. But like, if that's the only person he's ever actually hurt, I'm not 100% mad about it.
Right. Absolutely.
Which also leads me to my next note that says, ew, Bob, you can't just run back to Alex because Marcus is dead.
He wants Alex on his team so bad.
I was like, that's fucking shady, bitch.
I mean, we knew he was shady, but I think he wanted Alex in the beginning, and Alex was like, I'm not going to be on your team anymore. And so he went to Marcus, and then Marcus died, and he's like, okay, look, dude, I still need you.
Right.
So I'm back again.
Bitch.
So we have a brief scene with Norma and Norman, where they're looking at the pool and she's like, this is such a liability. Everything's terrible. I don't know what they're doing. And they're like, she's like, we need some fencing. And he's like, what? She's like, you're the manager, go manage. I was like, okay.
Yeah. But also I kind of giggled a little bit because like I don't know if you guys know, but I tend to have like a little bit of experience in the construction world. And I luckily most of my experience is with a company that is very, very well respected and very committed to their job. But I also know a lot of companies that aren't. And I also know that the men who are actually the ones doing the on the site stuff have no information except for what they're supposed to be doing. And they just do it. So the fact that these men show up, dig a 23-foot hole, and then disappear, just leave it. I laughed so hard. I literally had to pause the episode because I was cracking up. I was like, none of that surprises me. Zero of that surprises me. Of course, they just dug a hole and fucking bounced.
That's so funny.
Because that's all they were told to do.
Right.
And like a lot of times, like the people who dig the hole aren't the people who pour the foundation, so they don't
Right.
know. So like
Right.
so the bits and pieces of jobs get done, and like there's also like issues with communication with people who are paying things and who's filling out paperwork. So like a piece of a job will get done, and then it literally won't get finished for like 6 months because it's a lovely business. So the fact that they just dug the hole and bounced and nobody knew what was happening was the most accurate thing that's ever happened on the show.
At least we get construction people right.
Construction done correctly. I died.
That's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
I guess. And what I keep asking for, knowing it's the incorrect thing to ask for, still an enema.
Said they're so adorable that I actually kind of hate it.
How cute are they? They're just like joking around like young people. He's like,
Yeah.
cured. And she's like, basically. I'm like, oh,
No more CF.
yeah. Oh, God. They were. I just wanted good things for them. I didn't really take notes except that how much I loved them.
No, I took a lot of notes actually about their phone call. Because one, he says he's gonna be gone for a couple of days and that she like can't bother him, or that like he said if you need anything, unfortunately I won't be around. And she asked what he was doing and he didn't tell her the truth. And I was like, good.
Yes.
Super pumped that he did not give her the real reason. But then also I got a huge wave of, oh my God, foreshadowing. Because she was like, I promise not to have any emergencies while you're gone. And I was like, fuck.
Now
You don't
she's
like
in an emergency.
Of course, something awful is going to happen. And I was like, the amount of foreshadowing like just does not sit well with me. I hate that I know how the show was written well enough to know that that was the worst way they could have ended that phone call, because that means something horrible will happen to Emma in the next 2 episodes, and I am not happy.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Nope.
And for a brief second at the end of the scene, we get our cutesy Emma and Dylan, and then Caleb is hiding a gun.
What the fuck, Caleb? To be fair, not mad about it.
Not a bad idea, but seemed real sketchy at the time.
But I was confused at the moment.
Yes. So then we go to Norman. And he's like fighting with this fence and dancing around the pit. And I was like, that is a sure way to fall into it.
I said how I desperately wish he would have tangled himself up enough and fallen into that pit.
That was
Desperately
what I was asking for.
Desperately wish that he's dead now. Show's over.
Right.
Not because I hate the show, but because I hate him.
Right. Which is totally fair. Totally fair. And then Emma comes up, sweet Emma. And she tells him very calmly that she was there, in case he didn't know, the night that he lost his mind. And she was like, I sat with you. We did this all night. She was like, I love you with all my heart. I want the best for you. We can't be together. She's like, you were never there anyways.
That was the sweetest and most humane breakup I've ever seen. She was like, there is nothing. She was like, I think that we both always felt like we were just doing it because we thought that that's what we were supposed to do because we care so much about each other. But this is not right. It has never been right. We've always felt distant. The second we decided that we were going to be together instead of just being friends, everything was wrong. And I think we both know it. And I love you and I will be there for you every way I possibly can. But that's not the way. And
Right.
even when she hugged him to try to like break up with him, he panicked about hugging her. So like, which means she was right.
Yeah.
And but it was so perfectly said. I was like, I could only wish to break up with someone that well.
I was so concerned he was going to push her in the pit.
Me too.
That's what I thought for sure was going to happen. I was like, don't break up with him by a giant pit.
Well, especially because the last thing that said was the emergency, and then I was like, oh no. The foreshadowing can't have been that fast.
Right? I was so nervous. I was so nervous. Thankfully, she did not go into the pit. She went home. And oh gosh, Norman walks up to his room, sits in his chair, and just stares at the window for an
Not the rock. I
absurd.
literally said not the rocking chair. Oh.
The rocking chair. And he sat there until the dog was alive again, which means that he's gone into his world that no one else lives in but him.
That was the first moment that I freaked out. And then again, later something happened, and I just go, this episode was so full of movie like hints that I couldn't deal with it.
Yep. Then I go to Alex and Norma again. And I was trying to be fun. I put they're reminiscing about Norma lying to him again. LOL. Which is
this whole
basically what
scene,
they're doing.
I literally said, Alex, you are so much better than this, and her. And then I said, Norma fucking Louise, why couldn't you have been honest with the one person who's actually done everything for you?
He knows you've killed other people and has covered it up. Like,
literally the only person you've ever known who has selflessly gone out of his way to protect you, and you can't even be honest with him.
yeah. And like she should be able to tell he's like really on edge because he won't go in the house. And he's just like, I'm gonna ask you this, and that's it. I hope you don't lie. And then don't follow your instincts.
He was like, I know that your initial reaction is going to be to lie to me, and I get it, but don't. Yeah. And then she does, and he goes, I'm going to give you one more chance. Please.
And I put, and now you've lost Alex. I hope that's the end for him, and he goes on to find better and brighter things.
God, I hope so. I wish. I love. Oh, fuck.
So, then it's dark. Norman goes into Norma's room, and he's like, "Yes."
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't understand my next note, but I do.
Okay. And he's like, don't turn on the lights. He's like, I need to talk to you, but I want to talk to you in the dark. I was like, okay.
He was like, I don't want you to be afraid of me. And I said, you should be afraid of him.
Right.
You'll absolutely be afraid of him.
He's like, are you afraid of me? And she's like, of course not. Why would I be afraid of you? And I was like, you are very perky for someone who should be losing her mind and probably is. Mm-hmm. Then he's like, I have to tell you something and he's like, it's what James asked me about. He said, it made me so angry because I'm afraid it's true. And he says, he thinks that I'm attracted to you. And Norma's response, she says, oh, no, you're not attracted to me. That's super normal. Everything's fine. And I said, false. Okay, there's literally a gene that makes you not attracted to people you're related to.
Okay. Yes, but there is a lot of I don't think that gene exists. I mean, I because I think that it has proved too many times in history to not work that way. But there is a psychological thing, and like there's the whole Freudian idea of like relationships in the Oedipus complex, and it exists, and there is a romanticization of your parents that exists, and that's why like all little girls say they're going to grow up and marry their dad, and it's just a cycle that you go through. And when you're trauma bonded, you don't know how to break that cycle, and when you have an unhealthy relationship with society at large, you don't. And she was explaining that we are very close and nothing gets in between us, and this is something that like sexuality is confusing. And the thing that makes people different than animals is that you can have a sexual urge and not act on it. And everything that she's saying is actually psychologically 100% correct. And she's genuinely, for the first time, having an honest conversation with him that, like, yes, you might look at me. I'm a woman, you're a man. We spend a lot of time together. You don't understand your sexual urges. Maybe you look at my boobs, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And it doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you because you don't act on it. And it's like genuinely the most like psychologically healthy conversation the two of them have ever had. And if it was anyone but Norman, I would be like, wow, that's such a healthy way to talk about sex with your child, and to like admit that it's confusing, and to like take the role of a single mother of a teenage boy to a level of like comfort that most women don't have the ability to do. And I was like so there for it until she then like wrapped herself around him and laid him on the bed in the most sexual way I've ever seen, and I wanted to throw up.
Yeah, I was like, Norma, you are not helping.
Like
This is not the way.
I was like genuinely so impressed. Also, I want to know who on the writing staff works on those kinds of speeches, because like I'm genuinely impressed at like the depth and psychological awareness that is, and this is not the first time that I've been like, holy shit.
Right.
I'm so impressed with like the honesty in the writing of this stuff that like is a conversation that like if it weren't for the fact that the show is absolutely fucked up, I could see using bits and pieces of Norma's conversation to like explain sexuality to like children in a not children,
Right.
children, but like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so, because I genuinely think that it's so well written and so honest and so psychologically aware, except for then it like jumps into the ick
how it's
immediately.
applied.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. I told you I was going to go off about the Oedipus
Yes.
complex later, because I was like,
Yes.
because I was like straight up like it is a very confusing place to be as a teenage boy who has unhealthy relationships with women in general, to not sexualize your mother. And like in general, there comes this point in a teenage boy's life where they stop, where they have to make a delineation, and like part of it is genetic and part of it is societal, where you stop thinking of your mother as your like entire being and you become a sexual being. And there's a lot of times that it's like in therapy and things where like that break doesn't happen the way it's supposed to, and it's a huge issue with like, and that's why there's so many things with like the whole Bates complex in general of like mothers and sons having unhealthy relationships and like incestual motherhood and like things like that, where it's like not even always a conscious decision, but you like don't make that break correctly.
Yeah.
And it's why like wives and mother-in-laws historically can't figure their shit out, because like men haven't been able to find that break correctly. And everything she's saying about like the difference between animal instinct and like human compassion is like not doing those things, and like understanding that you're capable of having urges that are gross and that are wrong, but you don't do it. And like human beings are complicated. And I was like so impressed, and then immediately turned off.
Yep.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That is how this show goes. You're like, everything is going to be, nope. No, it's not. Absolutely. And we go to Sweden next.
Okay, but why did she go there when she knew he was out of town?
Why? That was my question. I don't know.
And immediately she pulled up and I go, no, ma'am.
I was like, is she trying to like rekindle her relationship with Gunnar, knowing she's got this weird thing with Dylan and just into things with Norman?
Is she like trying to catch Dylan in a lie, like by actually like being at the farm? Like I don't understand what the motive was.
Yeah. So she says, my dog is like dreaming behind me, and she keeps like bouncing. I feel her. But she stops by to leave flowers and brownies, and she's saying all these things, and Gunner's like, oh, okay, okay. And then she's like, these are for Dylan. And he's like, oh, okay. And poor Gunner.
He's like, I've been like meaning to like message you, and she's like, listen, I'm in a really bad place with my health. Like, romance is the last thing on my mind. And I said, as you leave flowers and brownies for
Yeah.
Dylan,
And
ma'am.
you just had your little cutesy call with Dylan and broke up with his brother because you love him. Like, okay, Emma. Okay.
No.
Speaking of Dylan, bless his heart, we go to him and Caleb. And they're waiting for the people to show up. And he's like, why do you have a warrant? Just out of nowhere. And Caleb's like, oh, and he's like, you don't have to tell me, it's fine, it's fine. He's like, no, I'll tell you. Turns out he has a warrant because of a previous gun run he did that went wrong. And I was like, that's good. That's a good lead up. And
Omen. Good omen.
then the payphone starts ringing. And he answers it. And he's given instructions on where to deliver it. He's like, they're like, why isn't Chick there? And he's like, because we're delivering it for him. And they're like, well, he shouldn't change plans. And he's like, well, we're here. Do you want this? And they're like, yeah, come here and deliver here. So they show up where they're supposed to, and they have guns pulled on them immediately.
Yeah.
Great.
And I go, this was a very, very bad idea.
Yes. And so they're like patting him down. They're checking him. They're like, why are you here? Why isn't Chick here? What's happening? He shouldn't change plans on his partners last minute. And then he tells them to get down and put their face to the truck. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's getting ready to shoot them execution style.
Now, I had to pause it there because the end of my planning period at work happened at that moment. And then I didn't get to watch it again for about 6 hours.
That's very
So I was so sure that Dylan was going to be dead. Or Caleb.
This whole time I thought Caleb was going to be dead because he was already kind of talking his way out of the show, saying how he had to leave when the barn was built.
Fair.
So I thought that was setting it up for him to be killed. Turns out that gun that Caleb hid was a good thing because then he immediately pulled it and just started shooting people.
I said, okay, Caleb, I see you.
I was like, okay, I know I've hated Caleb until this moment, but I can give him a little leeway because he did save Dylan's life. And had he not been there, Dylan would have died. For sure. 100%. No questions. And so I'm glad Dylan didn't die. And that Caleb knew his way around a sketchy scene, I guess.
Yeah.
And just another thing to show that while Dylan's been involved in town stuff, he is still a child and is not like a legit gun runner.
Yeah. Not the brightest person in the world.
He panicked. He didn't know what to do. Anyways, and then we have a brief, like, thrown in there scene that they just kind of like glazed over where Alex is calling the DA. And that is all of the information we're getting.
Oh, not the DEA. They're not the DA, the DEA.
Oh, I heard the DA.
No, I watch with subtitles.
I normally do, but I was working on Alex Wilder's catalog while also doing
he's calling the DEA.
Okay, that does make more sense.
And he calls someone by first name basis, which does in fact prove the earlier in the season suspicion that Alex is the one who
called them before
and broke up everything in the town.
Yes.
But he's doing it with the flash drive in his hand because he's about to rat everybody out.
Yep. And but that's all we get of that scene. Stay tuned for next week. And then we have a brief scene to James.
Yes.
Who's packing everything up and running away. And I was like, correct.
Yeah, I wrote, congratulations, James, you won the award for having a fucking brain.
Right. And so then, of course, Norma pulls up. And she's like, where are you going? I need to talk to you. What'd you do this? Why this? And he's like, he rolls the window. He's like, I'm not talking to you. And she's like, what do you do? He's like, Bob Paris kidnapped me and beat me up. And she's like, what'd you tell him? He's like, I told him everything. I've told him everything, and now I have to leave.
And
Bye.
he's like, and I would appreciate it if you don't ever fucking contact me again.
Right. And I was like, fair. I feel
Yeah.
that way too. I would
Yeah.
also want Norma to never contact me again.
Correct.
So then she does the next logical thing, rushes home to Norman. And someone
And
called Norma. Bob?
uh
Norman?
no. What
I don't know. She
happens
rushes
is
home to Norman and
she
they
runs
start
into
arguing.
Norman and they have a fight and she tells him what happened. And
Oh, I know this. When she first walked in the door, he called her Norma instead of mother. And I was like, who called Norma first? I was saying he called her that. Which was, I think, one of the first times he's called her Norma to her face,
yeah.
which was very interesting. Um, and then they just yell at each other because he's like, how could you tell anyone? And she's like, I had to tell someone, and blah, 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 blah.
And then she was like, being your mother is so difficult. Like being your mother is going to kill me. And I was like, actually, no, he is going to kill you.
But I mean, technically, being his mother, were she not his mother, there would not be any need to be murdered.
Correct.
So, and then she's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, and kind of like runs away.
Yeah.
In this camera angle where you see regular Norma and then it just pans to her being gone and it's fake Norma was chilling and excellently done.
Okay, but also the fake Norma scene. She's all disheveled and like trying to seduce him. And I did not expect it. He literally pushes her away and is like, no, I don't want this. This is not okay. I don't want to see this. And I was like, wait a second, what?
Because even though he's in his fake world, he's trying. And it's amazing to me seeing like Vera Farmiga go from one character to the other. It's like seamless. And I don't know if they shot these scenes separately. I'm sure they did because she had changed and whatnot, but like
Yeah.
even so close together.
Mm-hmm.
Seamless. And then Juno runs away. So if we didn't know, he is still in his dream state.
Well, yes. And then he hears her voice. She says, you won't escape this.
And we look up and she's in the window.
In the window. I was like,
And yep. And then so he's running after Juno. And this whole time I'm expecting the dog's gonna get hit again like he did the very first like time we saw him. But alas.
Well, and I thought, I was like, well, who is he? Who, like, Norma left, like in real life, Norma left. Like, obviously, he's still seeing Norma, but like in real life, Norma left. So I was like, he's gonna run after his mom, or he's gonna like run into the woods and like see some other shit. Like, he's gonna, but in
So
a
then
0% of the world did I expect what happened.
we see someone standing in the road, and for a second with the brown hair,
I thought it was Blair.
I thought it was Emma.
I thought it was Blair.
And
I
then
thought
when
he was
turned around,
I thought he was still
thought it was
hallucinating.
the other girl, Kat, what was her name? The one that's in the grocery store?
Cody.
Cody. I thought it was Cody for a second. And then the face dawned on me that Bradley's back.
Whoa. 0. I thought he was hallucinating and it was Blair. And then I was like, no, it's not Blair. That hair is too messy. Blair's hair is always exactly perfect. And I go, oh my God, what's her name is back. And then she turned around and I go, oh my fuck.
Surprise, it's Bradley.
No. What?
So that was one of my spoilers, was that I knew she was coming back at the end of season 3. I didn't know what episode, so I was caught off guard because I thought it was the finale. But
nope. I have exactly one spoiler. And it is nothing to do with, and we already know it has something to do with Alex. So like nope. Did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, so a couple trivia facts for you.
Please share.
one of them is a compilation of basically that there were a lot of homages to the 1960 film, which I think we mentioned them all throughout.
Yeah.
Um,
There was,
another one,
well, because I was gonna say, because there was the rocking chair, there was the window, there was the owl in that he was working on downstairs. I don't know if I missed any.
and then Norma in the window was the other one.
Oh, I said the window. Yeah, the rocking chair, the window, the owl. Okay. I caught them all on my own.
Good job, good job. And this episode was originally titled Taxidermy.
No.
They're really bad, like first titles for these
Yeah,
episodes.
they're struggling on that one.
Yeah.
Because while the pit, not the most important thing that happened in this episode, definitely more appropriate than taxidermy.
Yes, and I think that was probably more of a like fake out.
Yeah.
Because it
Also,
seemed like it was gonna be really important in the beginning, and I'm sure it will be eventually.
and I would really, I don't know. I would really appreciate if this episode was called The Pit and then the next episode was called The Pendulum.
Ooh.
Like I would just really appreciate that. I have no idea, and I am not
I
going
bet
to look
it's
it up.
not, but I would also.
I bet it's not because no one probably thinks about Edgar Allan Poe as often or as much as I do. But like,
Well, he was in the movie I watched on Saturday. He was a character in Betwixt, the Francis Coppola
okay,
film.
okay.
So I'm also in an Edgar Allan Poe headspace. But wow, that's all right. It's a good place to be. So who do you want to punch in the face?
And so many people, so very many people. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Chick because he almost got Dylan killed.
He would have been my first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he probably did it knowingly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing is that I feel like it was on purpose. Like I feel like he was about to sacrifice our boy, and no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is
So
is your second choice gonna be Bob? Because that was my second choice.
yes, it is. Harris. Because he's doing some crazy things. Building pits and nailing people's feet to the ground and
Yeah.
lots of crazy stuff. So who's your MVP?
Okay, this is going to be a weird one.
Okay.
And it's going to be a long shot. And it's because never before have I picked this person, and probably never again will I pick this person. I'm picking Norman.
Okay.
And hear me out.
I'm listening.
For the only time in the entirety of the show has he shown any any human emotions, and he's genuinely upset about the fact that he is spiraling, and he's like actively trying to figure out how to not spiral without showing people how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's the first time that it's for him it is, and it's the first time we see that it is something that is a struggle and not just like a switch.
Right.
And the fact that he's like fighting it, and I know that it's not going to last, and I know that I know where he ends up, and I have always been like fuck this kid the whole time. So like, but that moment when he was sitting on the bed crying and he was like, I think I'm a bad person, and then when he pushed fictional Norma off of him, I was like,
he's really trying.
There's a lot of people who did good things in this episode, but that was like a character moment that I didn't expect, and I appreciate, because I have worried from the beginning that he was just going to spiral and spiral and spiral and spiral, and it was never going to feel like a struggle or like a journey. It was just going to feel like one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I am going to pick Alex because he finally set some boundaries with Norma.
Yes.
He very, very clearly set boundaries with Bob Paris, said he would not be going to that side.
Yeah.
And while it will probably cause chaos and destruction in the city, he is trying to put an end to everything. And maybe that town needs to be burned to the ground and started over. Maybe that's the right answer.
Yeah.
So,
a solid second place for me would have been Caleb, just for saving Dylan. But
he might have been a second place for me, which is
I know, which for you is big, which is the only reason I wanted to mention him, because I knew that, like, for once he was actually on both of us, on that side of the algorithm versus the other. But no, yeah, I know I will never pick him again, and I know I've never picked him before, and I defend a lot of stupid people on the show, but Norman impressed me this episode.
I think I picked him once.
Yeah,
maybe twice.
I think so. And like I said, he's had other decent moments, and he's done other good things, and like, he is a kid and he is struggling, and it's clearly being depicted more as a true mental health journey than it is anything else, which is a fascinating way of looking at it. But this was the first episode that I felt like he was genuinely a person struggling with mental health and not like a character.
Right. I agree. Yeah, so that's all we have for this episode. If you have thoughts, feelings, whatever, suggestions for horror films or sci-fi films, email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can follow along on Instagram and Twitter of our 31 days of horror, and then immediately after our 30 days of sci-fi. Everywhere at Death and Aliens. You can follow me at CECloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for Sci-Fi Sunday. See ya.
Bye.